The July 17th, 2025 hearing for the Planning and Land Development Regulation Commission is now called to order. And if I could please have everyone silence any audible devices that you may have. And if you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank everyone for joining us this morning. And Ms. Summers, could I please have a roll call?
Member Costa?
Here.
Member Shelley?
Here.
Member Sixma?
Here.
Member Craig?
Here.
Member Erson?
Present.
Member Bush?
Here.
Chair Mills?
Here. I apologize for that. Is that Ms. Grinnan, correct? Okay. All right. We do have minutes from March 20th, 2025 and April 17th, 2025. Do we have any discussion on either one of those minutes?
I'll be glad to make a motion to approve both sets of minutes or individually.
We can do both of them.
I'd like to make a motion to approve both sets of minutes as presented.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor to approve the minutes from March 20th, 2025 and April 17th, 2025 from Ms. Shelley and a second from Mr. Sixma. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, if anyone would like to speak for or against any of the cases being heard today, if you could please fill out a form at the back of the dais here and hand it to Ms. She's new, Ms. Grinnan, and you know I can forget a name. Handed Ms. Grinnan to my immediate left, and we will be we'll be limiting you to a 3-minute time limit. And after the comments have been heard, I will give the applicant an opportunity to address any concerns the speakers have and answer any questions the commissioners may have. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Soria for legal comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is for members of the public and for the applicants that decisions by this body on special exception cases and cases which rezone real property from one classification to another pursuant to the zoning ordinance are recommendations only to the county council and do not constitute a final hearing. New evidence may be introduced at the county council public hearing. Decisions on variances made by this body constitute final action subject to an appeal to the county council. And what this means is that no new evidence may be presented at the time of the county council public hearing on the appeal. An aggrieved party that appeals such a decision is confined to the record made before this body. Hearings by this body on rezonings, special exceptions, and variances are quasi-judicial in nature, meaning that this body is acting more like a court and must take into account all oral, written, or demonstrative evidence presented. Their decisions on these cases must be based on competent substantial evidence in the record, and competent substantial evidence has been defined as that evidence a reasonable mind would accept to support a conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Soria. And while we're on legal comments, I'd like to ask the commission to disclose for the record any ex parte communications that have occurred before or during the public hearing at which a vote is to be taken on any quasi-judicial matter. And I'll start with my immediate right with Mr. Erson.
None at this time.
I have none.
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 And I have none. Okay, we do have one item to be continued, a request for continuance. It's V25032. Could staff tell us about that, please? Yeah.
Apparently, the applicant has requested continuance to.
This was Mr. Harris, but I don't see him here. Pardon?
Scott Ashley, zoning manager. The applicant requested the continuance.
Okay. All right. Anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we continue case V25-032. Looks like for 30 days to the next PLDRC meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to continue V25032 to our next commission meeting from Mr. Costa and a second from Mr. Erson. Any discussion on the motion?
What is that exact date? August what?
21st.
August 21. Okay.
I have a
Okay.
quick question. That's beyond 30 days, so do we need to amend the motion so that it's to the next PLDRC meeting and not 30 days specifically?
The motion was for the next.
The next PLDRC meeting.
It also included 30 days, so I just wanted to be clear because it's beyond the 30-day mark, and that's what's on the agenda is that he's asking for that continuance for 30 days. So just for clarity purposes.
Okay. What's the date on that?
August 21.
Okay, you want to amend your amendment motion to change the date?
Not particularly, but yes, I will amend the motion to continue the case V 25032 to August 21 meeting.
I concur.
Okay, we've amended the motion to include the date of August the 21 from Mr. Costa and a second from Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're going to move right into our new business. And Ms. Shelley, could I get the first case read into the record, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-040, a variance to the accessory dwelling unit ADU regulations on urban single-family residential R4 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And this, Ms. Tucker.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. For the record, Kelly Tucker, Planner 1, Zoning and Planning Land Development. Today, the applicant is requesting a variance to place a 720 square foot, one-story accessory dwelling unit in the front of the rearmost point of the principal structure on the property. The applicants purchased the property in 2020, and it was already developed with a single-family residence, several accessory structures to the north side yard, and a screened pool. The accessory structures were added in 1978, 1985, and 2017. The parcel complies with the minimum lot size of 77,500 square feet, and the total lot coverage is 19%, which is below the 35% maximum allowed. The proposed ADU will face West Church Street, same as the principal structure. Per section 72-277 D2D, ADUs are normally required to be located behind the rearmost point of the home, but the applicants are requesting this placement of the ADU to preserve as much green space in the backyard for their kids. The principal structure has driveway access off of Temple Street. However, they are requesting a second driveway access from West Church Street, which can be administratively approved because they do meet criteria 3, which is outlined in 72-277 D2G, that it is a corner lot, so they have 2 legal accesses. Environmental permitting staff reviewed the request and did not object, but suggested that the applicant must comply with the applicable environmental regulations in the Land Development Code. Staff recommends denial as this variance fails to meet 3 of the 5 criteria for granting a variance. However, should the PLDRC find the applicant has provided competent substantial evidence to support approval of this variance, staff has provided 3 conditions that are located on page 5 of your staff report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Any questions for staff? Ms. Bush?
Are there any other accessory dwelling units within that neighborhood or adjacent?
None that could be located. It was just mainly principal structures and smaller detached, like shed-like storage units.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Could I get you to come forward, please? And could I get your name and address for the record?
Kayla Troy, 312 South Lakeview Drive, Lake Helen.
Okay, and you heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
I would just like to add, for your consideration, this is going to be the grandparents moving in because the husband is a veteran and he's very sick. So they're kind of downsizing. This was kind of a compromise on all ends. Just to take into consideration, they're only asking to come 10 feet closer to the front than what your code already allows. So they're still going to be 20 feet past the front of the primary residence. This is going to be a custom project. They're going to make it look exactly like the house. just to help you visualize kind of what we're asking for here. So the real big thing was, as you can see on the site plan, if you can see that, the only green space is in this back corner, and they have 2 grandchildren. And just for ease of use, being closer to the laundry room, which is in the primary home, also not obscuring as much of the pool use, and then the only green space again is in that back corner. So just the reason that we're asking for the variance is just for those items.
Okay. All right. Ms. Bush, you had a question for the applicant?
Have there been any objections by the neighbors about adding the structure? Have you talked to them about this?
I talked to the neighbor directly across, and he didn't have any objections.
Okay.
I think from their perspective, from what I've collected, it doesn't change much for them.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Do we have any public participation forums for this case?
No.
Okay. All right. We're going to close the floor for public participation, open up for commission discussion. Mr. Ashley, wasn't this being addressed as far as whether the ADU could be in front of the primary residence? Is there an ordinance that we're looking at?
We made changes, I believe it was last year or year before, where on acreage property. If you're over an
acreage
acre, it could be located anywhere on the lot.
Okay, I remember some discussion on that. I just didn't know if it pertained to this.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this site did not meet that criteria.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashley. Okay, any other commission discussion or a motion?
I'll be glad to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve case number V-25-040, subject to the 3 staff recommended conditions, and also noting that this is a corner lot.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve variances V-25-040 with the 3 staff conditions for Ms. Shelley and a second for Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-041, variances to the minimum yard requirements on prime agriculture A1 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And this is Ms. Reyes.
Good morning. So the applicants are requesting 2 variances. Variance 1 is to reduce the west front yard from 100 feet to 58.1 feet for an existing mobile home. Variance 2 is to reduce the west front yard from 100 feet to 63.7 feet for a proposed accessory dwelling unit. The subject property is currently developed with a mobile home and 2 detached garages. It is heavily treed along the western and southern boundary lines. The mobile home did receive an approved building permit in 2023. When the applicants applied for the proposed ADU, it was discovered that the property had a 15-foot roadway easement along the western boundary line. Due to the easement, the property is considered a corner lot with 2 front yards and 2 side yards. A1 zoning classification has a minimum front yard requirement of 100 feet and a minimum side yard requirement of 50 feet. If the easement was not there, these variances would not be required. Staff's recommendation is to approve variance 1 and deny variance 2. Should the PLDRC find that the applicants have provided competent substantial evidence for approval, 3 conditions were provided for your consideration, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Any questions to Ms. Bush?
Always have questions. Was there a mobile home on this lot prior to 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm assuming it was demoed, and was it in the same location or was it in a different location?
It was demoed. Not 100% sure. The applicants would be able to speak to that more than I can.
Okay, understood. I noted, so my second question, I'm assuming surveys are required when building permits are submitted?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm just curious why this wasn't caught initially.
I can't speak for the staff member that approved the zoning review. I'm not sure what happened at that time.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Just have some concerns, right? Because now we're
Absolutely.
having
Yes,
to do this
ma'am.
after the fact.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing I do want to note, and we can either do this in discussion, but actually, you know what? I'll wait. I will do this during our discussion. Thank you.
Anyone else like All right. Is the applicant present? Good morning. Could I get your name and address for the record?
James Leonard, 3790 Lettuce Lane.
Okay.
And Jamie Lee Leonard, the same address.
Okay. You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
You had asked if there was a mobile home there prior, and there was. It was dilapidated. That's why we replaced it.
Was it in the general same location or a different location?
It was in a different location, not far from where the new mobile home is.
Okay.
Our residence.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Do we have any public participation forums?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to close the floor of public participation, open up for commission discussion or a motion. You can have a seat.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I will tell you this, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ashley, but if this had a agriculture exemption on the property, this wouldn't be required. Is that correct?
For an ADU? No, sir, that's not correct.
That's not correct.
It's residential.
It's
Yeah.
still considered for the.
It's a residential structure. If they had an ag exemption, if they had a non-residential farm building on the farm, that would be exempt.
Okay,
But this is a residential structure. The code does apply. And to speak to your Ms. Bush's question earlier, this is Howe and Courier subdivision. So there are 15-foot strips along most of the properties. That's how a lot of the road pattern in that old plat. It's probably a 20s or 30s time period plat. And I believe the reviewer at the time probably perceived that as just another easement and measured from the actual property line. And in front of the property line, as noted, it does meet setbacks. But it is a road easement. There's 15 feet on their side, 15 feet on the other side. And that's throughout the Howe and Courier subdivision, which affects a good portion of the central part of the county from Samsula down south along the 415 corridor.
okay. The other question I would have is there any other agricultural classifications that you don't have as large of a setback?
No, sir. The A1 and the FR and the RC have the same side yard. They have different front yards. The FR and the A1 are both 100-foot front yard. RC is 75. The next one down is the A2, which is a 50-foot.
That's okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Ashley.
No problem.
Okay, any comments or a motion?
I'd be glad to make a motion.
Go ahead, Ms. Shelley.
I move that we approve case number V-25-041, variance to the minimum yard requirements on A1 zoned property, subject to the 3 staff conditions, and also noting that the easement brings in the 2 front yard.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley.
I'll second it.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve variances 1 and 2 for V25041. Is there any staff conditions on this?
Yes, sir. 3 staff
And
conditions.
with the 3 staff
Subject to,
recommendations?
yes, sir.
From Ms. Shelley and a second from Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
Not so much on the motion, but we seem to be getting a lot of these variance requests, these front yards to A1. The 100-foot just seems excessive. Same thing with the side yard of 50 feet. I don't know if that's something that we can reevaluate because some of these properties are substandard lots. They're not the 10 acres. And I feel like we're doing a disservice to people that are trying to push their dwellings to a specific location on the lot in order to conserve property for agriculture purposes. So I don't know if that's something that we can have staff look at. I'm still very confused as to what that process is, but I kind of to Chairman Mills' comment, we have a lot of these variances that we review, and I don't really feel like they're necessary or they warrant this board's review personally.
Also want to make a note that there's a letter of support in the package from the neighbors.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. And I will say that I bring this up quite frequently on these agricultural properties. So, and I have been for quite a while. But all right. All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Shelley, can I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-042, variance to reduce minimum yard requirements on prime agriculture A1 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And this is Ms. Tucker.
Thank you, Chair. The applicant is requesting 2 variances to the minimum yards to construct a 720 square foot accessory structure workshop. This property is zoned prime agricultural A1, requiring 10 acres minimum lot size, but the parcel is only 0.33 of an acre. It's 80 feet wide and 150 feet deep and contains a single-family residence that was built in 1969. With the proposed building, the lot coverage would only be 15%, and the proposed structure would be located to the west side and north rear yards. Because the workshop exceeds 500 square feet, it must meet the same requirements as the principal structure per section 72-277A5. The applicant is requesting 2 variances to reduce the north setback from 50 feet to 5 feet and a west side yard from 50 feet to 5 feet due to the property's size constraints. Environmental permitting has reviewed the application and did not object, but the applicant must follow all environmental regulations in the Land Development Code. Staff recommends approval for the variances as they meet 5 of the 5 criteria, and staff has also recommended 2 conditions that can be found on page 5 of your staff report. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Could you come forward, please? Good morning, sir. Could I get your name and address for the record?
My name is Jacob Broman, address 1150 Osteen Maytown Road, Osteen, Florida.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Nope, just trying to build a garage because the house didn't come with a garage, so.
Okay. Ms. Bush, you had a question for the applicant?
Yeah, any of the neighbors object to this?
No, actually, the neighbor behind me said he was trying to do the same thing.
Okay.
So.
He's waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, right.
He wants you to go first,
Yeah.
right?
That's right. You try it out first.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
All right. We're going to close the floor for public participation. Open up for commission discussion or motion.
I'm happy to make a motion.
Go ahead, Ms. Shelley.
I move that we approve case number V-25-042, variance to reduce minimum yard requirements on A1 zoned property, subject to 2 staff conditions.
I'll second. Oh.
Oh, go ahead, Bush. You got it.
Who got what?
Ms. Bush got it.
Ms. Bush got it. Okay. I got a motion on the floor to approve variances 1 and 2 for V-25-042 from Ms. Shelley. And how many staff conditions? 2 staff conditions with the 2 staff conditions. And a second from Ms. Bush. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-043.
Yep.
It choked me up.
Yeah.
This one's very emotional for me. Excuse me. Variance to section 72-241 to reduce the minimum side yard requirement on rural agricultural estate RA zoned property.
Okay, this is for Mr. Harris.
Good morning. The applicant is seeking a variance to reduce the minimum yard requirements for a new 768 square foot accessory pole barn on rural ag zone property. The variance is to reduce the southern side yard from 25 feet to 10 feet for a proposed 768 square foot accessory structure over 500 square feet in area. The subject property is 2.31 acres in size and developed with a single family residence that was built in 1996. There are other existing structures on site, which include a 830 square foot pole barn that was constructed without permits in 2010 and a recently permitted 160 square foot pergola that was permitted in April of 24 of this year. The RA zoning requires accessory structures over 500 square feet to meet principal structure setbacks per section 72-277 of the code. The applicant proposes to place the new structure 10 feet from the southern property line to utilize an existing driveway connection. The property is located within the Tomoko Farms Village local plan, which encourages large setbacks and rural compatibility. Environmental permitting reviewed this request and had no objection. Staff recommendation is to deny this request as it fails to meet 3 of the 5 criteria. Should the PLDRC determine that this criteria is met, staff recommends 2 conditions. The variance is limited to the square foot pole barn shown on the site plan, and all structures should not be used for habitation or any commercial activity. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any questions for staff? Ms. Bush?
Just to confirm, the staff report says that it fails to meet 3 of the 5 criteria, but it doesn't meet any of them, correct?
Yes, that was a typo.
Okay. I know we corrected that on another
Yes.
staff report, but this one we didn't, so just
Correct.
double check that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
Yeah, I have a question, sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Costa.
There's not an ag exemption on this property, is there?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Okay, you got it there. All right, is the applicant present? Good morning, sir. Could I get your name and address for the record?
Cade Bourne, 1819 Marsh Road, DeLand, Florida.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to it?
Yeah, so the gentleman that the pole barn is for, he's going to be using it to just park his cars underneath, acting as kind of like a garage. I thought it'd be good to place it here just because it's closer to his front door, so it would be minimum walking distance since he's older. The staff report did say, you know, a lot of the reasonings were that they could just place it somewhere else on property, but that would have to be in the backyard. And I think you guys noticed last couple of days we got a lot of rain, and the homeowner did mention that his backyard tends to flood. As well as there's already a gravel driveway there, so it's already prepared to act as a driveway rather than having to now, you know, transport a lot of gravel back there, maybe even having to build up the lot to place the pole barn to meet zoning requirements for flooding. And yeah, that's pretty much it, just because he's an older gentleman.
Okay, Mr. Costa, you had a question for the applicant?
I do. Are you the applicant or the construction company?
I'm the applicant. And
You're the applicant? You're Michael? You're the owner?
I'm Kate. I applied for the variance.
Okay. So the question is, I know that area, and yes, I got 6.5 inches of rain, and I'm less than 2 miles from you. So I'm sure that the back part of that property is swampy. I know Old Tamsula Road was underwater during Ian and Milton both. This would have probably benefited from a flood zone or elevation certificate to know that. I'm assuming that is probably a high point of the ground as opposed to moving it behind the house,
Yes,
and that's
sir.
your low point. That would have been very helpful to submit when they submitted to the county for staff review. Short of that, there's a shell driveway right there. This is an open pole barn.
Yes, sir.
No sides, correct? Not being enclosed at all.
Nope.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Ms. Bush?
Have any of the neighbors objected to putting this in the front yard?
No, ma'am. The owner talked to the side neighbor on the right where the pole barn would be kind of away from
10
the
feet
property line.
away.
They said they're completely fine with it.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any other public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to close the floor for public participation, open up for commission discussion or a motion.
I'll be glad to make the motion.
Okay.
Case number V that we approve, case number V-25-043, subject to 2 staff conditions. And thank you for your explanation because I was definitely leaning a different way. So I appreciate your coming up and speaking on this issue. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve variance V-25-043 with the 2 staff conditions for Ms. Shelley and a second for Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Craig?
My initial thought on this was to deny it, but the explanation certainly helped. What I'm wondering about is if the unpermitted structure that exists there, if anything's being done to brought that into compliance. And I don't know, it just sort of gives me a sense of, I don't know, it was just something I was curious about.
And you're addressing that to staff?
I don't know who would be the appropriate person to do that. I would think the applicant, but although maybe it's county, I don't know. If it's been identified as being unpermitted while there is something going on requiring a variance, does one affect the other in any way, or yeah?
I don't see a staff
I think
requirement.
Mr. Harris can speak.
In the package.
That unpermitted structure doesn't appear to require a variance or action. Like it meets its setbacks. The issue is it doesn't
It's
have a
just
building
unpermitted,
permit.
yeah.
So the solution would be he needs to permit it, or he's subject to code enforcement. And if he doesn't permit it, the structure could be demolished. How big is the proposed structure?
830 square feet.
So it's over the because you recently changed your accessory, so it's too large. So they're going to need a permit, but I don't think it requires action by this commission because it meets its setbacks.
So it's not a requirement for this variance to pass.
Right, but if he doesn't address it,
It'll be a code
sub-
violation down the road. Right. I got that. Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? We do have a motion on the floor, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please? And I,
You are, definitely. And I got a cue.
Ready?
Yep.
All right. Case number CPA-25-005, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment from the agricultural resource AR future land use designation to the rural future land use designation.
Might as well go ahead and read the second case as they go hand in hand.
Yes, sir. Case number Z-25-005, rezoning from the prime agriculture A1 zoning classification to the rural residential RR zoning classification.
Thank you. Mr. Shams, this is you.
Hi, good morning. So this project was previously heard at the May 15th PLDRC hearing. The applicant chose to revise their application and have it heard again by the PLDRC. Their previous request was a future land use change from agricultural resource to urban low intensity. The new request is for a change to rural. The proposed change is to develop the property with one single family unit using the rural residential zoning standards. There is also a companion rezoning application with this request to change the zoning from A1 to RR. The property is a 1.01 acre lot that is heavily wooded and non-conforming. The site is zoned A1, which requires 10 acres, and the applicant applied for an overall development plan with our land development activity to develop the site and receive the notice of intent to improve if the future land use change and rezoning were also approved. Approval of the future land use change and rezoning would satisfy one of land development's requirements for the NOI. The other requirements are related to street requirements, right-of-way dedication, and tree preservation. Since the site is just over 1 acre, the applicant is proposing a rural future land use change because it could allow 1 unit per acre if certain conditions are met. The rural land use typically has a density of 1 unit per 5 acres. The 1 unit per acre would be consistent with RR. These conditions include being within 660 feet of an urban residential subdivision, adjacency to urban land use, and criteria of appropriateness with the surrounding area. The proposed change would need to meet all 3 of these. It meets 2, as it is in proximity to an urban unrecorded subdivision, and it meets the criteria of appropriateness, but it is not adjacent to urban land use. Therefore, it cannot meet the density condition for 1 unit per acre. The revised request seeks to accommodate the site constraints for a single home. but it would create an isolated parcel with rural future land use, which is inconsistent with existing patterns. The applicant's request to rural is less intense than the original request, but is still attempting to emulate the existing urban residential subdivision, Daisy Lake campsites. Policy 1.3.2.4 states that a vested subdivision shall not set precedent for future development, therefore it does not justify the change. The site is within the Natural Resource Management Area, which requires a 50-foot upland buffer. There are wetlands on site, and when a 50-foot buffer is applied, there are approximately 39,000 square foot of upland area for development. Environmental permitting reviewed the request and did not object to it. The applicant must, if approved, the applicant must comply with all applicable environmental requirements of the Land Development Code. And all impacts to concurrency monitored facilities would be de minimis, as the site would only generate 1 unit. Overall, staff recommends forwarding to County Council with final action of denial and to not transmit to the Florida Department of Commerce for expedited state review. Do the zoning case now as well. So the prior request was a rezoning from A1 to R3, which is an urban residential single-family zoning. The new request is from A1 to RR. This would allow development of the site if approved, because RR has a minimum lot area of 1 acre and a minimum lot width of 100 feet. This lot, I believe, is 130 feet wide. The site is part of a larger natural area, and the adjacent lands have never been developed. This area has been zoned A1 from State Road 44 to the south to Highland Park Road to the north, which is approximately 2.3 miles away. Further north, there are also RC zoned areas, which are more environmentally sensitive. Rezoning the site to RR would constitute spot zoning and is not supported by staff. In addition, it's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan for reasons I just stated. Overall, staff recommends forwarding to County Council with the final action of denial. I'm available for comments or questions.
I have a quick question for staff before I call to the panel here. Can you put that screen back up with the map, please? Right now. The lots to the left and right of the subject, are those same ownership, different ownership?
Different ownership, I believe.
Is it the guy who owns the bigger piece around it?
Yes.
Do you know? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Anybody have questions for staff? Ms. Bush, please go ahead.
Thank you. I know you mentioned that they had 38,000 feet of buildable area because of the NORMA, the NRMA, the 50-foot setback. Did they supply an elevation survey when they submitted their?
I don't recall there was elevations on it.
Okay, because I would like to see that, just so that, my question was this even buildable? And I've seen other single-family homes get developed in areas where there is that setback, and the homeowner eventually goes and clears the undergrowth, and then that creates flooding issues further down the road. There's no ability to really control that, so that's why I asked that question, if that was submitted.
No, I don't believe it was. It was just a boundary survey.
Okay, thank you.
There's a topo map. Okay.
Elevations on here.
In the package.
Page 12 of 24.
Does it show the normal? Does it show the 50 feet?
No.
Right where the buffer is?
No, it does not.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, on page 25, 32 of the package for the CPA, there is a topography map.
Correct, but there was no, the boundary for the NORMA and the 50-foot setback is not demonstrated on that survey. So where that lies, you have to then look at.
That's correct, yes.
Right, so.
It's 2 different documents.
Correct. So I would love to see that overlay in the future, because it's really difficult to even see whether or not this property is buildable.
So the whole site is in the NORMA, but the 50-foot buffer is from the wetland. So on his survey, I believe it does show the wetland line and the buffer.
I did not see that. It does not exist. Oh, in the very, that's the corner.
That's the corner.
Okay,
yeah.
so where then the 50 feet is?
From there.
Okay.
So most of the site is upland.
Is upland.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Please come up. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Gerald Lewis, 408 Caddy Drive,
Mhm.
Newberry, Florida.
You've heard staff's recommendations. Would
Yes.
you like to add to that, please?
No, I'm just
Okay.
looking to see what, how I can move forward with it, and
There,
because it is technically, billable, as far as the environmental consultant. He did consult, and I consulted with him beforehand. Also, too, we did some elevations just to verify where we could be, if there was any issues with that. Again, all that was taken into consideration before I purchased the property itself, other than not knowing we couldn't change an unassigned property to that. As far as the properties on the west side will fall into that category where it's unbuildable because it's part of that wetland area. But on the east side, it's totally buildable because the way the development, the way the land is, the further away we got from the wetland area, it progresses, I think, almost by maybe about 4 foot difference,
Mm-hmm.
and equal to the actual road, which I think is 11 or 14 feet.
If I recall, the last time you were here, was the owner of the surrounding parcel in favor or against this?
No, he was.
He was in favor?
He had no problem with it at all.
Yeah, that's correct.
He didn't submit any letters with this current package,
He
correct?
showed up.
Did not.
He showed up the last time. Okay. All right, Ms. Bush?
Is this going to be your future primary residence, or are you going to sell this when you build it?
This is where we were planning on building for our use only.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other staff comments? Or commission comments, rather? No? All right, thank you. If we have anything further, we'll come up.
All right, thank you.
Any participation?
No, sir.
No. All right, so we'll close the floor for public participation and open up for commission comments. And I do have one before we open it up for everybody, is that this is an all-and-out denial without any staff recommendations, should we feel otherwise. Just want to point that out. And anybody else have any other comments on this? And or a motion?
I'll be glad just to get a motion out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move that we approve CPA-25-005, subject, there are no staff conditions.
Nope, no staff conditions on either one, I believe.
And I'll read in case number Z-25-005. That I make a motion to approve that as well.
So we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I have a question on that.
Go right ahead.
Are we approving to send this to the
Yep.
county
That's
council
correct.
with a recommendation of denial?
No,
Yeah.
you're approving.
Recommendation of approval.
Yeah, recommendation for approval on both.
If I don't get a second, we can,
If we don't
the
get a
motion
second,
can be changed.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll fail.
Just to
for lack
move
of
it,
a
I'll
second.
second it.
We have a second. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor on case Z25005 and on case CPA-25005 to forward to the county council with a final action recommendation of approval. Is that correct? Yes. Okay.
Does that include finding it consistent?
I'm sorry?
Does that include finding the comp plan amendment consistent?
Yep, we're doing both. We're going to do both at the same time? You want to do them separately? Does it matter?
I think we should vote separately.
I would recommend you
just
vote
put-
separately.
Yeah, I
Separately,
just put
all
the
right.
motions both out there.
So that on case Z25-005, we have a motion and a second on the floor to forward application Z25005 to the county council for final action with a recommendation of approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want more discussion? Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you. First off, when this first came forward, I obviously was was not in support of this. I realize this gentleman has private property rights and can develop the property as entitled, but it does not, we don't necessarily have to be subjected to making the recommendations to the county council to allow for what he purposely wants to develop the property for. And I feel like if we continue to allow these types of comp plan and rezoning changes to allow residents to build where they really shouldn't be building, we all lose our property rights too. And we're seeing that on a daily basis with the flooding that we're experiencing, along with increase in property taxes in order to cover the infrastructure that's necessary as people continue to develop outward. As staff noted, this is not the fish camp. Does not give this property owner the right to develop it in the manner that that fish camp was developed a long time ago. And I think that somebody needs to state that. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. So the owner should have done his due diligence. I'm sorry. I've purchased a lot of property in my short time on this earth and have always done my due diligence on the zoning and the future land use to know whether or not I can develop and do what I can or want with that property. I've not purchased a lot of property because I was unable to do so and did not want to go through the processes of changing it because there's that question as to whether or not I could be able to do that. And it would be up to 5 to 7 people to make that decision for me. So I'm absolutely of denying this request and will not be voting in favor of the motions for both the comp plan and the zoning on the table.
And Mr. Costa, just to make sure, are we taking up the CPA first?
Well, the motion on the floor right now is for the Z25005, correct?
You should take the comp
CPA
plan.
up first?
Yeah. CPA
Okay.
should go first.
All right, well, can you give me a motion on CPA 25?
I read them. I
You
read
did
them
read them
both.
both?
Mhm.
And we have a
I
second?
read them both in separate.
And we both have a second?
Thinking both of them.
Okay. So any further discussion on the CPA before we go to a vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's 2. All opposed?
No. Aye.
Do a head count or can we do a roll call on that, please?
Member Sixma?
Aye.
Member Bush?
No.
Member Costa?
Yes.
Member Shelley?
No.
Member Craig?
No.
Member Erson?
No.
All right, so the motion fails 4-2. So now we need a motion in the opposite.
I'll make a motion to deny CPA 25-005, the small scale comp plan amendment from AR to R.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor to deny CPA 25005 and a second by Ms. Shelley. Motion by Ms. Bush, second by Ms. Shelley. Any discussion on the motion? All right, let's do another roll call vote, please.
Member Sixma?
No.
Member Bush?
Yes.
Member Costa?
No.
Member Shelley?
Yes.
Member Craig?
Yes.
Member Erson?
Yes.
So the motion passes as a denial 4-2, correct?
That's correct.
So we move on to case Z25005, which we have a motion and a second on the floor. And the motion is for approval of case Z25005. Any further discussion on this motion? That being said, let's take a roll call vote on this as well, please. This is for approval.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
Member Bush?
No.
Member Costa?
Yes.
Member Shelley?
No.
Member Craig?
No.
Member Erson?
No.
All right. So the motion fails. Would you like to?
Yep. I'll make a motion to deny application Z-25-005, rezoning this property from A1 to RR.
I'll second.
So we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Bush and a second by Mr.
Erson
on case Z25005 to forward to the county council with a final recommendation of denial. Any further discussion on the motion? And before we vote, one quick question for staff, for legal. These both fail. Can he still appeal to the council directly? Or dies here?
No, it goes to the council. These are just recommendations.
All right. Where did he go?
He left. Well,
Okay.
he went to council.
All right. I guess he figured out where it was going. All right. So let's do a roll call vote on this as well, please. This is for denial.
Member Sixma?
No.
Member Bush?
Yes.
Member Costa?
No.
Member Shelley?
Yes.
Member Craig?
Yes.
Member Erson?
Yes.
And so the motion passes as a denial, 4-2. All right. So that concludes all the current business, and we move on to other public items.
I think, for the record,
Yes.
it probably should be noted that Chair Mills was not present for these. He
was absent for the
left.
two.
Yeah.
Yep. Any public items to discuss? No? Staff comments?
Staff has no comments. Or legal might.
So Chair Mills, before he left, asked that the bylaws be
I've got that on my, I'll bring it up.
to this commission for their review. So we are going to have a discussion on the proposed bylaws, which haven't been updated since 2018, on the next commission. We were going to look at changing it anyway, because if the special exception ordinance passes, we're going to need to amend those. So it's just going to be a discussion only, because I need a 10-day advertisement to actually advertise what changes we're going to do to the bylaws. So on that discussion, the September PLDRC is when those changes would go into effect.
So next month we'll be strictly just discussing kicking it around. Okay, that's fine. So it'll be part of our package?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other staff comments? Commission comments? Anyone? Somebody wants to say something, I know.
Emily, come on.
Come on. Somebody. All right, I'll say it then. I guess we missed out on parking this week or this month.
I got lucky.
You got lucky?
I was the last one, but I got it.
There was a cone there?
No. But
Okay.
it was the third one in. I got it.
All right. So they missed our parking spots this
We're
month.
not put out. Correct.
Okay. Any other commission comments? No? Press and citizen comments? Not today? All right. And so in that case, we'll move on to an adjournment, and we will see you next month. Thank you.
Wow. This is the quickest meeting yet.
Yep. We're out of here before 10.
This meeting?